A crisis of epic proportion is impacting our nation's youngest, and it affects their mental health. It's estimated that 1 in 5 kids suffer from a diagnosable mental, emotional, or behavioral disorder. More astounding, though, is the lack of resources available to help these kids. The recent mass shooting at a Florida high school has reignited the discussion on mental health. While there is still much debate surrounding how much mental illness plays a factor in mass shootings, we uncovered an alarming picture surrounding the state of mental health in this country. Take a look at this map from County Health Rankings. The dark blue sections mean there could be more than 1,600 residents per single mental health care provider. Additionally, it can take months for a child or adolescent to receive psychiatric care. Too often, these kids end up in the ER as a last resort. Studies suggest more than 17 million kids will be affected by mental health disorders before the age of 18. In light of our country's mental health crisis, the question remains, what can we do to help children and others who are suffering now? And joining us now via Skype is Natanya, who experienced this lack of mental health care firsthand. Board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Dominic Sportelli also joins us. And Natanya, if you will, for our viewers, will you describe to them the experience that your son went through with his mental health and then his attempt or your attempt to get him the treatment he needed?
Sure. So my son Liam is now 11 years old. He has autism and what's called disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, or DMDD. So he really struggles with emotional regulation. He's been in private school and public school and having behavioral therapy since he was about 6 years old. Unfortunately, in October of last year, he had at his school what's called a psychotic break. We're very lucky that his school is trained. He goes to school with kids who are suffering from similar challenges as he does. But unfortunately, they could not contain him in the school, and we decided that he needed to be admitted to the ER.
And everyone would think, great, okay, so got your son who needed help to the one place where it could be provided, an emergency department. But the story didn't end there the way you expected. 10 days in the ER, is that right?
226 hours, I think. we were counting every day, 226 hours of not knowing where he was going to go and just hoping that there would be a space. There were, at one point, they told us the month before, there were 200 children waiting for one bed in North Carolina.
And this was, just to clarify for our viewers, waiting for a bed in a mental health or a mentally oriented facility, correct? And then once he was transferred after 10 days, can you share with our viewers what happened?
Right. So they give you a big list of places that they might go, and they tell you that as soon as something opens, they'll let you know. And they have many different reputations across the state, so you don't have any decision strength when it comes to actually placing them. We finally got word 10 days in, and they picked him up and drove him over in a sheriff's car. And it was 2.5 hours from our home, so way on the coast of North Carolina. And he was there for the course of 10 days. It was pretty much like dropping him off at a prison. So limited items, limited contact. We could only speak to him for about 5 minutes a day. He sobbed and cried every time we talked with him. The doctors did call about medication, but we were kind of in the dark. He really hadn't been on much medication to begin with, so we were kind of following their lead. And he was discharged 7 days later. The discharge took about 5 minutes, and when we got him home, he was incredibly over-medicated. So he had been put on some very heavy-duty antipsychotics as well as some tranquilizers because of his meltdowns and his, he wasn't being safe to himself or others that morning on his way to be discharged. So it was pretty much a wash. It was a very terrible feeling to know that we had gone through, half a month and plus to essentially start with the same diagnosis we had and no more insight into him than,
Can I ask, Natanya, how he's doing now?
He's doing great. He is in a state school here called the Wright School. It is an incredible part-time school. He's there 4.5 days a week, night and day, and gets round-the-clock care and observation. We've gotten him off of the drugs that weren't helpful and onto a new regimen, and he's really doing amazingly well.
Well, Natanya, thank you for joining us and sharing your story. We wish you and your son nothing but the best.